I love Nottingham, the home of Robin Hood. From the bright lights of Goose Fair to the peaceful nature of the Sherwood Forest woods. There's a feeling of togetherness, unity, pure, honest, love. And that feels great like a bright summer's day at the horses down by the lake at Colic. All I love Nottingham. The River Trent, the embankment, the Nottingham Carnival, different cultures dancing. The diversity, just walking down Columbus Street on a Saturday. The two lions in the square stand tall with pride. And when the markets in town come alive, it gives me life. Listen, as the council house clock chimes, and depending on how many times, lets you know the time. I've been to concerts at the Motorpoint Arena, and I've been to concerts at the Nottingham Caves. I've been here all my life and I'm still amazed by this place. I love Nottingham. Sometimes I stare at Hoxley's graffiti colourful walls, and sometimes I gaze at the deers running round Woollerton Hall. Supreme thrills, from chilling up at Green's Mill or up at that castle on the hill. Nottingham, I love you, and I always will. Visit Nottingham today.
So we're here at Hillhead Sports Club, the third year of our annual Pride in Touch tournament. We have 16 teams, over 200 players. We've got about a dozen or so referees. We've had also a whole heap of volunteers. It's been brilliant to come to Glasgow after previous versions in Manchester and London, and it's ended up being our biggest tournament to date.
Get a lot of curious players that want to try out touch rugby for the first time, so they might be a bit nervous, but I think they come down, they hear the tunes that are playing, they see all the rainbows, all the smiling faces, and I think they realise that actually they can just have a good time. Our ambition is to make touch rugby one of the most inclusive sports there is. We want it to be super accessible to anyone. We don't want there to be many barriers or any barriers to picking up the game for the LGBT community.
What's been amazing over just the 3 or so years that we've been running Pride in Touch has been the interest and the growth and the opportunity we've had to platform good practice from people across the world that are wanting to do more LGBTQ+ inclusive initiatives. Now more than ever, we certainly feel it's really important to make sure that we amplify the voices of inclusion, show people that team sport can be really good for their mental well-being and their physical well-being, and hopefully we've got plenty of those people who have felt like that through enjoying our tournament today.
Here we are, back with all of the action here from the Touch World Cup in beautiful Nottingham. This women's 35s, it is Australia taking on France. And it'll be Australia that get us underway here. Adam Collins in commentary, joined by Mel Day, Mel. It's been chop and change all day, but Mel is the lady in the hot seat, making me sound good.
Oh, and watching an amazing first score from the Australian 35s. They're definitely the favourites in this division. They've been on fire so far this tournament as they target the outsides here. Long ball out to the wing. Oh, to the link, sorry. And the France defender just shooting up in defence area and unable to make that touch. A great opening score.
And it was Laura Bain on the end of that pass, but the French defender came in and shut down, but just the timing was slightly off. And the Australians able to get on the outside and score that one. And Lucy Bain, the recipient of that try, gets a name in the World Cup try list. And it'll be the Aussies now to work their way off their own line. So the French team, Mel, have you seen them run around at Euros or in local competitions? What can we expect from France?
Yeah, France have an amazing touch setup now. They've got a really, really good competition within their own country, club competition level, and they've got some amazing players on the field today. So girls with a lot of experience. So they're coming off 3 wins so far in the pool games, France, where they've had 3 convincing wins, followed by a very narrow loss to Wales, whereas Australia, 4 very convincing wins by double digits each time. So I think France are hoping to really take it to the Australian team.
They're certainly very physical right through the whole French contingent. Physicality is part of their setup, as we see just a little bit of delay in that roll ball, and the Aussies punch up out of the line in defence here and try and steal some territory away from France, which they're able to do so. They shut it down. That's the final touch right on the halfway line. So from a French perspective, they'd wanting to go deeper into enemy territory here, as we see a little breakaway, a mini break for the Aussies as they were looking for their transition set. And now the French come up out of the line, but the ball movement is right on the money. Extra metres here. In behind the line of defence, we've got 2 or 3 players out of position. And now let's see if the Aussies can exploit that.
It's a great aspect of Australian touch when they get their wingers involved
Here
in
it is,
drives
hands.
there. Ooh. I'm going to say that was a try-saving knockdown by the
absolutely.
number 4 for France, Mathilde Colombe. But yeah, it's unique of Australian touch. They do get their far side wingers involved in their subsets a lot of the time.
So now it is the Australians.
Oh, they've got space on the left-hand wing here. Great hands by the link, and they are through for a diving touch on that far wing.
Yeah, beautiful work. And it is all about hands. It's the structures and the support play of the Australians which really comes to the fore in these matches. They have great structure. We see it here on the hands, on the replay. There's Gallen, Pia Gallen throwing a nice one, plucked out of the air by Rachel McVicker. And then over in the corner, the try scorer, Therese Gordon.
The finishing skills of these Australian wingers is sublime.
Very athletic and very team-based. They just know their role. They stay out there wide and hit the line hard every time. You know, they're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but when you want to have a look at a foundation, this Australian lineup certainly knows how to lay one, and then they just build on the back of it. So that defensive structure they have, now they roll up 2 touches. They've just made at least 20, 25 metres. Now they are up over the halfway line.
Going very direct through the middle of the field.
Couple of touches here. And going direct then means they have options left and right, but that time just the ball gets away. But that middle direct driving, not looking for the subset every time, it just opens up left and right. And that's good pace there from the French number 4, that is Aurélie Elsbach. Now they look to work it towards the middle themselves, France. Little ball back on the inside. Couple of extra metres and good roll ball speed as well. So this is great work from the French, but they just pop it up. Lack of communication around the ruck. The acting half thought she was hitting a hole on the outside, but she'd switched direction. And unfortunately for the French team, a turnover. And this is a great field position here for the Australians.
It really is within 10 metres of halfway, and these girls will definitely be looking for the box in this set of 6. Looking a little bit flat in terms of their depth.
They might have been on for a little while, that group, but now the fresh legs will come on. Looking for the inside ball, but the French defence was up in numbers. They had to turn them away, so now it's back down through the middle. It'll be Sophie Crouch that'll go from half. She gets through the line. Long ball again out to the right-hand side. Sophie Crouch. That long ball she delivered for a winger. That was excellent. We see it here. Just pace, and then beautifully, the ball held out in front the whole time. And it is Laura Bain who gets another try to her name in the first half. But that was the perfect example of acting half, running through and getting behind the line before she heads up.
And you could see a wind up for that pass, and you could see the French defender coming. There's no chance of a touch pass. The Australian player wound up before that and pinged it out to the wing. Lovely ball under pressure.
Now a penalty against the Australians for moving forward. So it'll be Penalty tap in the middle of the field for the French. And a real lack of communication and just, I don't think it's lazy, but it's that commitment to the process.
Yeah, it's happened to them a couple of times where they're just not committing to a play, exactly what you're saying, and not communicating with each other. And it's such a shame when you do get that additional 6 that's on the Australian try line or halfway line. They're just falling down and setting up those attacks as the ball goes out wide for the Australians.
Yeah, Serena Albert in the number 9, very dangerous around that midfield as well for the Aussies. And there's another cheap turnover for the French. So this just allows a little bit of a settle here for the Aussies. Fresh legs coming on the field. Pierre Gallen in half.
Oh.
You and me play in the middle, and the ball was down. A quickie for Pierre Gallen to score the try. Working there with Serena Albert. We'll see it here on replay.
Yeah, good call by the ref. We can see it from where we're sitting here, and it looked like a lovely put down.
There's Albert. Pierre Gallen. Albert with little ball. That's just beautifully slipped. And you could, as you said, Mel, you could see it clearly. The touch came in, but the ball was down. And that is 4-0 in favour of Australia.
You can see the importance of that covering defence. When your inside defender gets pulled into that play, you've really got to be on their back to make sure that you're there for step backs, for trail balls. And if you hesitate by just half a second, you let teams like Australia score.
It should be almost like you're on a piece of string, and if I pull, you come with me at that same distance every time, same speed. But we see a turnover here, a penalty against the Aussies. And the referee just telling the French player exactly where the mark was for the tap.
The girls coming in now, the two players who were on the field, it was really well managed by them. Unfortunately, they're giving away ball just with these handling errors with their passing.
And look, I don't want to harp on it, but there's really no excuse for those errors. It really comes down to the individual and their commitment to whatever is the call. And that can sometimes be the difference between winning and losing. As the Aussies go on the roll. Sorry, Mel, we see another breakaway. Ball back on the inside. This was a little bit closer for the touch, but the referee says the ball was down first. It was a breakaway. I think it was Rachel McVicker that made the original break. Here we see, yes, McVicker in half. She picks up and goes. She saw that the French players had their backs turned. Again, got through the line. That is a nice put down. And try time for Jacqueline Simpson, I believe it may be.
Yeah, brilliant play from Australia. Great scoop through the French line. But, yeah, with these handling errors, it's so frustrating as a coach because these girls would have done their warm-ups. They would have done their four corners and Broncos and caught every single one of those passes. But all of a sudden you're on field one at the World Cup against Australia and you can't string a ball between you. It's so frustrating, but I'm sure the French team will be talking about it in their box just to communicate and take a deep breath and relax. And, oh, lovely little dive in there to the Australian line.
It's interesting. I heard you say when you went through how the teams have prepared for this game, that the Australians have, won all of their matches by double digits. It's one of those things you get a lot of people asking, from Australian perspective, why do you go out there and smash those teams and play them and beat them by double digits every time? And for mine, it's a bit of a respect thing. Like the Aussies, if they go out and don't play their normal patterns or play a different game, it's not respecting the opposition. It's almost like, So they go out there and they go through the process. And from the alternate perspective, when I've helped some of the smaller nations, what I've said to them is go out and enjoy the experience, but don't be in awe. Don't give Australia the opportunity. Like, play your normal style. And sometimes, especially in these opening stanzas of matches, there is that little bit of awe or that little bit of, I'm so nervous we're playing Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see Caroline Notta for France, the number 13. She is an incredibly experienced player for the French team. I've seen her in plenty of competitions on the continent. As Australia get over the line again there,
it's just nice hands.
Balls through the hands.
Yeah, Kelly Pilser was that found Therese Gordon for her second. But it is just the hands work and the team play of Australia.
But, yeah, speaking of the scorelines, you don't really see it reflective in general play. You see the opposition taking it up to the Australian try line, and a lot of these games are end-to-end touch. It's just the execution level of the Australian teams in terms of taking advantage of those scoring opportunities. I watched the Mixed Open China team against the Australian Mixed Open on an outside field up at Highfields yesterday afternoon, the last game of the day, and it was just a fantastic game. And it was end-to-end touch, trying to have plenty of opportunities. And if you looked at the scoreline, you'd think it was a walkover, but there are no walkovers happening on any of these fields.
Absolutely true, as we watch the Aussies again roll on. Up the field, nice drive here. Look at how condensed the defensive France are, but they're not able to move the ball there. That was good through the middle. Late switch back on the inside. Picks up Kelly Kennedy. Kennedy drives. Line now, play on is the call. Skip it out to the left-hand side. Numbers here, and she'll go herself. Sophie Crouch, we've seen her previously. The speed of Sophie Crouch seemed again to come from nothing. It was quite static. The play looked all broken down. Just that ball skipped to the outside, and then the dummy. The winger pushes out on the dummy pass, and Sophie straightens up. And that is try number 7 for the Aussies.
One thing I love about the Australian teams, you just watch their roll ball technique. It is so smooth and so controlled, and we've commentated a lot of games with ruck infringements and things like that, but the Australians, when you see them drive, it's so hard, but they just get that ball down in such a smooth motion. It's so good to see.
And we said earlier, there's nobody, no team out here that's perfect. They do make those errors, but when they do, it's almost like a shock. Whereas in other games, it's like, oh, there's another one, there's another one. And you don't get that in the Australian or the New Zealand games. But again, I have to say there's more countries that are becoming much more proficient at the simple skills of our game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see France, they've got another set on the Australian line with a penalty against Australia. Now, what they want to do, they would have trained for this, having 6 again on the line. They'll work through their plays. We can see them playing much more structured now, throwing the ball across.
Mathilde Colombet in the middle. Gets it out to Wanda Gracia Fabjanzik. But unfortunately for the French, they turn it over with a penalty. In for a forward pass. Now another opportunity for the Aussies to roll up the field. Good defence from the French. They're getting up here in the Aussie face, putting some pressure on, so this is much, much better. 4 touches on the halfway line. Final play here. That one went forward. The referee was right onto it. Could have been late, could have been forward. You take your pick. Penalty bingo here in the women's 35s.
One thing the French women are always known for is how physical they are. They love a good, strong touch, and we can see them there in that midfield defence, really keeping the Australians in their lovely little inside ball from the half here.
We talked about, I think some of the nerves of the French players have dropped off here, so they're starting to take more chances. They're starting to respect their processes. They're starting to support each other. That little ball dropped back on the inside, probably 5 minutes ago, would have found the ground. That one, there was someone there to take it, so they're fitting into positions and getting a roll on here.
Yep, and even driving with a lot more confidence, driving a lot more harder. They've got an offside penalty against the Australians here. 6 again, they're within 15 metres of the Australian line. Getting much more confident stringing these plays together, France.
There's Marine Frelicott with the ball now. Rapper was coming around, but she went herself. Frelicott with the ball again. This is Carolyn Notter. Back to Notter. And a penalty. Forward pass is the call. Just the execution in some of those plays. A little bit lacking, but they're trying something. They're taking the risk, which I love to see here for the French, as the Aussies up to the halfway line once again. There's the change of speed now. They're in the red zone here. What can they do? Crouch is there. She's dangerous through the ruck. She's the acting half, can't score. And that was Tani Luck, who got through the line. We'll see it here. Luck picks it up from half. The defender was called offside, so it's play through there. She puts her head up and finds support in Leah Ayub. And that is another try for the Aussies, bouncing out to an 8-0 lead.
And there's very nice tries on the back of quite solid midfield D from the French side. It's just kind of on that fourth touch. France are having a couple of the defenders caught up, and that's when Australia is scooping through and taking advantage of these offside players. And
that's the skill set of the Aussies, is the fact that, and I know we've touched on it in different games, but it's not all 100% of the time. They sort of regulate their speed a little bit more. They change it up. And when they find a French person up out of the line in a position they shouldn't be in, that's when they turn it on.
Oh, great yards.
So here, there's two or three off the ruck there. Sophie Crouch picks up. She knows this time she doesn't have to go all the way to the line because she had support. She drops that beautiful ball out in front of the winger, and that's another great try. We'll see it here. So Crouch goes into half, and instead of breaking all the way through and getting behind the line, she gets the advantage with the players turned back inside, and that is just a beautiful finish.
On the back of some great setup work by Leah Ayub, the number 1 for Australia.
Laura Bain it is again with another try against the name. That's her third already in the first half, and we still have 2.5 minutes remaining here. But if you wanted to play for Australia, the wing is the place to do it if you want to get your name in the record books, because, yeah, those mids work so hard, and then just the perfect delivery.
And you've got to keep on remembering they're left to right balls on the run. Very, very nice balls from the women's 35s for Australia.
9-0 here for France. They deserve something. They've worked hard. I'd like to see them score here to round it out. You see a dive for the line through Ifan. Bain able to get across the line. Now they toughen up in defence as well. Sending the one shooter. Sending one up out of the line can be, problematic. They're getting away with it here, but you can see the players in offside turning their backs and just getting caught short. Now there's numbers if they want to exploit the right-hand side. They go to the left with a wraparound. Now the cutout pass, and it'll be sheer pace. Down the left-hand side, that'll see Therese Gordon get her hat-trick in the first half as well. And it really was. They had options left and right there. They went for the left side. The long ball out from Kelly Kennedy. And she finds Therese Gordon in the corner for her third.
Great angle running by the winger there as well. You could see she caught that ball running on an outside line, got around her opposing winger.
There it is. Double digits for Australia, 10-0 over France with less than a minute remaining. French team, they want to score here in the first half if they can. Rucking up the middle of the field. Marine Frelicot. She's been the workhorse for France, as has this young lady here, Caroline Notta.
Yeah, just killing it on the fifth there.
Last touch. But not long to go here in the first half. It'll be Australia rolling up the field. Can they go the full length within the time frame required? They're just looking to go forward here towards their sub-box. Fresh legs come on. They've got numbers out here if they want to exploit it. They're going to drive it down through the middle. There's the final touch. Yeah, late pass. That was beautifully timed. It was just held and popped up nicely, but great cover from the French defender. Lucy Bain was looking for her fourth try of the half, but what a great finish from the French defence.
That was exactly how you want to finish a half of touch footy, isn't it?
Beautifully done by the French. I think it was the winger that was pushing out hard. She had to make the touch and she got the job done. So it's 10-0 here, Australia's way at half-time. We're going to take a quick break and bring you all the action of the second half here in this women's 35s games between Australia and France. So here we are with the second half. It'll be France to tap off in this women's 35s match. Australia leading 10 tries to 0. We're looking forward to what the French can bring here. And the tap off. You can see the Aussies up in numbers. One or two players coming up out of the line, shutting down options left and right of the roll ball. The French push through the middle, and unfortunately there, a not square penalty or changeover for the Aussies.
Those penalties are always quite tough on a driving play like that. I'm not sure whether you get a lot of advantage from not quite squaring up off the ruck, but the one thing with France is I think they looked a lot more confident in that set in terms of their passing and just keeping things simple. And I'm sure their coach would have said to them at half-time, just focus on the basics, as Australia once again with a great long ball out to this wing. They've got some players who can really ping that ball, don't they?
I think it was just the same combination as we've seen previously. That is Kelly Kennedy with a long ball out to the left-hand side, and that will be Laura Bain, her fourth try of the match.
It's such an asset when you get to this 35s level, especially in women's touch, that you don't get a lot of players who can really throw the ball that far. And usually at 35s, you'll see the defence play very narrow because you're not too nervous about that long ball coming overhead. But Australia proved that they do have some players that can really promote that ball.
Certainly do, as we see a changeover, a roll ball indiscretion against the Australians. They look to be launching another attacking raid, but the ball turned over to the French now, who truck it forward through the middle. Good metres up to the halfway line.
Oh, this is good driving by France.
Caroline Notter again, we've called her previously. And there's Francine Jellicott. Or Marine Frelicott. My apologies.
Never marked there. I think they got a bit caught up with the touch count there because I think they were expecting that to be last touch, hence why they were kind of killing it over on this side.
Ball now in the hands of the Aussies. They drive up through the middle looking to get some fresh legs on. They drop it now close to their subset. And here come the replacements. They've actually got 7 on. They have 7 on the field at the moment. Now they have correct numbers, but it's been missed in back play.
Yeah, the referee is completely
I did a quick count. It looked like there were too many out there. And there were definitely 7 on for at least one touch. But it's play on here. No advantage gained by the Aussies, and it'll be Kelly Kennedy. Will take the tap on the 7-metre line. They move it right. Now they come back to the left, back to the right. A dummy from Kate Hilliard. No space there. The French close down the gap. Now they move it again to the left. That's Pia Gallant. Skip to the outside from Kennedy, but she's touched on that occasion. Looking again for Laura Bain. There's Gallant. Kennedy, they move the ball to the right side this time. Rebecca Thompson gets it down, scoop, and then a long ball to the winger. It was out in front, tough to take, got the fingers to it, but it was also just out of her reach. And now the French, this is tough to dig out of these metres here, but straightens up hard. There's a shooter defence, couldn't get the ball away. Good pressure from Bain, getting the job done on both ends of the scoreboard, attack and defence. Here she comes again. Good pace down the wing. Tiptoeing on the precipice of the sideline. Stays in field. Well, dummy at the 6 touch right on the halfway mark. So almost the perfect opportunity to run a set play, but they look like they're going laterally. That's Gallen, who will drive forward now. Make her way to the sub box. 2 off. There's Gallen driving forward. This time she'll roll the ball and then drop off. Here come the replacements. Only 6 this time. They've done that well.
They got plenty of time on the ball, the Australians. The France coming very slowly up.
McVicker will sweep here. The pace of McVicker. They go to the left-hand side.
Just dumping that ball a bit too close to the French line. Didn't give her a chance to get that ball away because she was definitely looking for the wing on this
Only luck it was that just for mine went the wrong way. There's McVicker up out of the line to effect the touch. There's nobody there. I have to make it. Still nobody in a position to do anything offensively. That's another great touch. There's 3 touches that have been done almost within a metre of each other. Now they're in behind. And a forward pass to the opposition player's head.
Yeah, I think the French team, I think the time in the game is starting to take its toll on the players. They're starting to get a bit tired and they're just desperate to sub off, and they just need to take a couple of breaths and nominate a couple of players to stay and take a couple of drives up the middle of the field.
You'd have to say both teams here in this restart phases, they are, taking some tired options. Even the Aussies, they're not, as I said, they're not perfect. And that's a nice ball out of half. Already on the outside and a big dive. It's just individual heads-up touch football. It will be Tani Luck gets the try. Just good team structures. Just play the ball here. She steps out. Gets this one down. Then that split is where it all happens. You can see she's already on the outside. It was a nice release from the acting half to put her on the outside hole. And all she needed to do was straighten up there and score. And she was good enough to do so. Tani Luck gets her name in the record books. And it's 12-0 Australia over France. Now it's France on the attack. Through Marion Clementine Couton. This is Frelicott. Busy and dangerous for the French team, as is Nota in half. But the Aussie defence resolute. They want the 0, the duck egg on the scoreboard.
Oh, lovely drive up the middle of the field. And you can see they're starting to get the French team retreat with their backs to the ruck.
That's Katie Shaw driving the ball forward, centering it up. But the referee's going to call a penalty here for something. Offside, I don't know. I'm not sure what it was. They were in attack. Couldn't quite read what the signal from the referee was, but it's right on the halfway line. I'll get a chance to take this penalty. Is Frelicott moving the ball to the right-hand side.
Yep, Australia sending 2 defenders up each time. They're keeping France stuck around that 10-metre mark, but a much better drive here by the France. Number 12 is a pick-up from half.
Tiffany Giroux was that took that ball into the line nice and hard. Set it up beautifully, but unfortunately it just breaks down there.
Oh, lovely little ball out.
Ball out to the right. Orly Ellsbach makes the final touch, and now the Aussies. 3 passes from the initial roll ball. That's Shaw rolling forward again. Nice dish off to the right, but unfortunately 4-3 is good, and that ball goes to ground.
France are going to have to capitalise on this. Work on their handling and just work through their plays, the plays that they train day in, day out for in the lead up to this World Cup.
Yeah, good talk you could hear from the Aussie coming across in cover. This is Mathilde Colombet. He's been busy. Marion Millet. Nicely taken at pace. There's Millet again on the wraparound play for Delphine Danset. That's Danset there with the ball again. Out to the left-hand side, cut out pass on an unders line, but unfortunately we couldn't see Carole Rousset. She couldn't take that one, and the ball goes to ground. French team have to regroup here and hold this Australian attack back if they can. They work it to the right-hand side again, looking for the substitutions. On come the fresh legs of the Aussies. The Australian Emus, as they're now known. Ball over the top. There's Bain. Has she got the pace to go all the way? She certainly has. The electric pace of young Bain there. Here we see it again. Laura Bain takes a high ball and she's off. Beautiful leg speed. And Laura Bain has another one in the record books. And that's 5 for the match so far. So now it is the French that come forward again.
Oh, great drive here by the French.
Amrine Frelicott has been tireless. Most of these French women are just still having a crack every time. They're not giving up. That's Nota. Caroline Nota. Frelicott again. Goes Demure Cecile back inside, and that's the final touch for the French. The Aussies pick up and go. That's off the mark. The referees don't see it that way, and they call play on. Now the Aussies roll forward. Third touch up over the halfway line. Chance here. That's Shaw. Shaw will look to give back to the middle.
Yep, they got the French defence
Jacqueline
rolling
Simpson
back.
it is. Leo Yu picks up, and that's an off, askew roll ball. Called all sorts of things. But in every language in touch, it's a changeover. And now the French team, they make their way back towards the halfway line once again. Now in good position here. They've got the whole left side of the field spread out. They come to the short side. She's down the line, but the touch has been affected. Willing on the French to score a try. I can hear it in your voice.
I mean, they've done well in the first part of this second half, though. It's only been 3 scores in the first 11 minutes of this half, so they've definitely tightened up the defences.
Bain again on the outside, but this time the cover comes across in the shape of Aurélie Elsbach. And that is a great touch.
Yeah, Aurélie Elsbach on this close side wing, she's had a cracking game. She's had a couple of very good drives, saved more than one try.
Shaw in the middle. This is Kennedy. Kennedy back to Shaw. Shaw goes down. Good dump for Kennedy to pick up. There's numbers on the outside. Fortunately for the French, the winger had come in way too tight. Kennedy able to find space. And in that space was an Australian emu. And that comes in the form of Therese Gordon, who scores her 4th for the match. Really, yeah, it was just sticking to the plan there, wasn't it? They just hit the holes and the ball found them.
Absolutely. And it is a hot day out there. We can start to see some fatigue in some of the players. And to put it into context, it's 23 or 24 degrees here in Nottingham, which I'd say is an Australian 31, 32 degrees. It is very warm out there.
Now the French get a penalty, 7 metres out. It's a great opportunity. And here the French just moving the ball around, trying to find a weakness in that Australian defensive line. Now they go forward.
I'd like to see the France just start to drag those defenders, start to maybe do some 32 drags just to start to move that defence a little bit more. It's a lot of middle plays by France as they...
Another penalty for not moving forward. So Jessica Roux was working hard, number 20 uniform for France. Now switch back to the inside.
And Australia,
they're skating on thin
lucky.
ice here.
Yeah,
clearly
very early.
The player right next to the referee wasn't moving at all. On the inside, the line's there. Yeah, Pia Gallen for Australia just broken too far to her right. And try time, parlez-vous français? Or what do we say, les bleus? Back on the inside, great try for the French. They certainly earned that one. They deserve that try.
Just catching that Aussie mid, not connected with her fellow mid and getting very slow in that cover defence and scoring right through the middle of the Australians.
They're on the scoreboard, 14-1. The Aussies leading the French. Women's 35s. The ball goes over the top for Lucy Bain. And that's a hat trick each half here for Lucy. Fortunately, we're not able to, couldn't quite pick up the number of the try scorer for France. give you the lady's name, but it was well deserved.
Absolutely. I think she took a knock on the way through after scoring that try as well. So lovely score by France.
Well, they get a chance to do it again, so maybe there's some wind in their sails, the French team. Hopefully they charge into the Aussie line here through Alexandra Palastrelli. This one, Mathilde Colombe. Colombe again. Just a tired pass to the right-hand side. Fortunately goes to ground for the French team. They're not able to get another one. They're going to keep having a crack. I think it might have been Dorothy Gondouin that scored. Little dummy gets in behind the line. 2 or 3 players out here. A little bit of interference through the ruck. The winger has to come in and shuts down. She's done a great job again.
Yeah.
That's Elsbach. Now a skip pass out to the outside. And it is Laura Bain. She just holds the line beautifully. She's almost like a train. She just stays on the tracks, runs that beautiful wing line as we bring you great shots of the tower. And here we are back with the play.
This is our final day at Riverside.
It is. It's a beautiful venue, I have to say.
It is a gorgeous venue where, as the name suggests, right by the river.
Yeah, the River Trent over there. People hear the River Trent quite a lot, in history especially, here being in Nottingham, a very famous historical town. And at some stage, the River Trent was the main means of transport in and out of this beautiful city.
A great cricket ground here in Nottingham as well at Trent Bridge.
Trent
For all the
Bridge.
Aussies who might be watching at home, some Ashes test there before, which has been amazing. Lovely long ball out to the right, but
It's certainly a beautiful part of the country, beautiful part of the world here in Nottingham. Very happy to bring this event to you here. We see the Aussies now. They transition up the field, much more direct here than the French patterns. That's an incorrect roll ball. Yes, unfortunately for Australia. It was Sophie Crouch, who's been dangerous whenever she's been in or around the ruck area. On that occasion, she just lost the handle. Now she works hard in defence, trying to make up for that error. All the girls tuck in behind her. Serena Albert's also worked extremely hard in that middle link spot for the Aussies. Crouch back to the inside. That's a good late switch, but the defence was right onto it. They shut down in numbers as they needed to. So here we are. 2 minutes remaining, but the French still plugging away, trying to crack this Aussie line once again. They've only done it once. Here we go, another shift out wide. Dummy throw. Now they hit Bain, but Bain wrapped up once again by Elsbach. Lee Elsbach for the French has worked so hard out here. Bain has 7 tries to a name, but that's not any fault of Elsbach. She's worked hard, as we see.
She is here.
Serena go through.
Lovely touch.
Nice work from Serena Albert. And the touch ball. And a turnover here for the French. 1.5 minutes remain in this women's 35s match.
Oh, lovely
She goes
little
again.
step.
I'd like to see her in a bit of space too. She looks quite quick.
Yeah,
Aurelie
she really
Elsbach.
does. When
Pass
she
inside.
gets the ball in hand, I mean, she's a fabulous, fabulous winger, but I wouldn't mind seeing her in that link position, having a bit more space to play with as she passes
Good ball
it
back on the inside. That was nice in the play there by the French team.
Lovely, lovely work. Yeah, this number 4, I think she's been a standout for the French team.
As is this lady here, Mathilde Colombe. She's been busy in the middle, as has Frelicott. But yeah, you're right. It has been Aurelie Elsbach who's popped up in lots of different places on the field in cover. She has worked super hard for the French team. Ball shifted out to the right. Seconds remain here in the half. This will be just pace. And a great shift. Early release to the right-hand side. And it will be Rachel McVicker who will end the scoring for the match as the hooter sounds in the background. And what a great finish to the match for the Australian Emus.
Yeah, they'll be stoked with that. And it came from a 10-metre pass across the field just to change the direction of play and catch a lack of French defenders on that right-hand side of the field. But 17-1, it was a 10-0 half-time score. So France definitely improving in that second half and were threatening the Australian line on a few different occasions. So they'll take a lot out of that second half.
So well done to the Australians. Certainly dominant on the scoreboard and on the field. But kudos to the French team who really took it to the Aussies. They certainly didn't just, lay down and take it. They scored one, but they worked tirelessly right throughout the match. And it was a great game here in this Women's 35s for a World Cup. Again, we'll wrap it up quickly. We'll have a short break and bring you all of the action from the next match here, pitch side for the men's 35s, where South Africa take on the United States of America.
So we're here at Hillhead Sports Club, the third year of our annual Pride in Touch tournament. We have 16 teams, over 200 players. We've got about a dozen or so referees. We've had also a whole heap of volunteers. It's been brilliant to come to Glasgow after previous versions in Manchester and London, and it's ended up being our biggest tournament to date.
Get a lot of curious players that want to try out touch rugby for the first time, so they might be a bit nervous, but I think they come down, they hear the tunes that are playing, they see all the rainbows, all the smiling faces, and I think they realise that actually they can just have a good time.